Hi everyone, this is Penguin Trades, and this is a review for the ES and NQ futures for October 10th. First off, there is construction going on downstairs right now, so you might be able to hear that, plus they're playing music, so, maybe you can hear it, maybe not. Anyway, this is the ES. After going over this chart, we're going to go over the NQ. So starting off, I started trading at 8 Central Time, which is this area right here. This is our overnight high. This is our overnight low. These are our key levels for the day. Now, when price reached this measured move right here, it had a little reaction to it, but then it just plummeted on through. So when price breaks through a measured move level like that, what you'd like to see is 2 legs up, retesting it on the other side in order to continue with the direction, in this case down. And so clearly, we don't get that. By the time we retest it, we only have 1 leg, so that's just a first entry. Plus we just formed the overnight low right there, so we're coming off of a major key level. We absolutely need to see 2 legs up. Now, when we push up here, we're way above the EMA. Price is closing on its high on this very bullish bar, which is not ideal for a retest, obviously, because it's pushing through. Now, it does close back below, but again, we're coming off of a major key level. It's important to understand that when you come off one side of a range or an overnight, because the overnight levels act as a range, you can expect price to attempt to reach the other side. Now, even though this uptrend right here, this little uptrend here has a break and a push up to a new high, this measured move is still in play. And so, just considering the context, coming off the overnight low, we can expect price to reach the other side. I don't want to go short after such a bullish push through this resistance level, this measured move level, with this up measured move still in play, and with how much it got above the EMA, and it's just getting super bullish. So that's why I didn't like going short there. We just don't have good context or a good setup. So anyway, this uptrend gets a break, push to a new high, but since that measured move is in play, it makes a second attempt at a new high. And it barely misses that measured move, but that is enough for it to start reversing on down. It's pretty clear that we're going into this range right here. And then notice from this high, we have first leg down, second leg down, which on a bigger picture just turns into 1 leg, and then break, retest the lows right here, have a second leg down. Now, this trade right here, it is a little bit sideways. Now, you can see there's a second entry in there, but that's not why I took the trade. The reason I liked the short right here is because we had a failed reversal. Price just formed the overnight low, and already the uptrend is played out, attempting to reverse. Now, we do have this wider one that's forming. It didn't hold a third time or anything on either side, but it still has a break, attempt at a new high, and then that was enough for it to plummet below and break out of this little range that's forming. And so then here, we're retesting not only this range low right here, so a breakout pullback of this range low, we're also retesting this previous measured move level. It's right around that area. It might be a tick off or so, but we're retesting this measured move level, this low right here. Very bearish reaction. It's holding off this trend line. We have this swing right here, drag it off there, holds again there, and then holds again here. So it's really pointing towards shorting here. Price is clearly unable to reverse. It just wants to continue with the downtrend here, and we have room down to the overnight low. So that's why I like going short here. This blue circle here is because, as you can see, this is a limit order trade. In the moment, it was a little bit fast, so I could not, and plus I was also looking at something on the NQ at the same exact time. There was a good looking trade on the NQ at this exact point, except it happened so fast that I could not get into it. And so, there are a few factors in play. I didn't actually see this bar get triggered. I didn't see this bar right here tick lower because I was looking at the NQ at the moment. So, it happened a bit fast, based on what I saw on the NQ at this exact area. Plus, just looking at it, I was just distracted. So I needed a limit order. This is the bar that came back. That's why it's circled right there, so it triggers below here, and then on this bar is where the limit order was filled. So anyway, we push on lower here, plenty of room down to that overnight low. Price pushes on lower here, and then you can see we have these 2 legs down, and price almost reaches that measured move. It doesn't quite reach it. As soon as it breaks out of this overnight low, it immediately fades back in, but you can still see here price pushed on through that measured move here, attempted to reverse, which led into a larger 2-legged move down. Right? I don't mean to say larger than this, but on this reversal, at first we had these smaller attempts down, which eventually pushed into these larger legs. So we push on higher here. Great place for a failed second entry, a clear reversal pattern. We just need to get above this trend line right here. Now, to the tick, or not exactly to the tick, but based on the clear legs that we can see, We have first entry short, second entry short, failure. So yeah, technically you have a failed second entry right there. But it just doesn't quite set up good enough because as we push higher here, we just broke this trend line. It clearly acts as a range because, or not as a range, it's clearly acting as a valid trend, even though it's, kind of a wonky shaped trend and it's very wide. As soon as it broke, price immediately started pushing down to a new low. And so on that second attempt lower, the second leg just isn't as significant. And let me just draw out this measured move here. So you can see first leg down, second leg down, the measured move is still in play. I just wanted to see price get a little bit lower and make another attempt down after the break of this first leg down here. So even though it's a downtrend break, first attempt lower, second attempt lower, you also have to consider this is a downtrend right here, and it has a break, and it's attempting a new low. It got well below the EMA, which is not good for a long. And so just because it pushes back up here doesn't mean that it can't make another leg down, reaching a new low. Because if price were to continue down here, say after this green bar, price ticks higher and then pushes lower, you would have, from here, downtrend break and then two legs to a new low. But on a bigger picture, it would still just be a break from the wider downtrend and then two legs down, even though on a smaller picture, there would be three legs. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I didn't like going long there. It just didn't set up clean enough. There's not much separation. It's a very thin, when we push down here, this whole move up is very thin. So I just wanted to see more separation between these legs and also a deeper push down. It just did not set up like a clear failed second entry, especially given this downtrend right here. So we push on up here. We have uptrend, break, push up to a new high. So this uptrend is played out, and as it makes a new high, it starts pushing back below. Now, since it played out well below the overnight high here, this is the first sign of a bearish imbalance, meaning the bears are taking control of this overnight range. And so if we push lower into a clear failed second entry, we can look to get short. Now, immediately what happens is we go into this downtrend, we get a break and a push to a new low with no entries on the way down. So the downtrend is already considered played out. Now, when we push up here, it is still considered a failed second entry because we have this first leg down. So first entry long, second entry long, failure. Now, one thing I just want to mention, in case there's anyone more new to my videos, I don't care about every tick that goes by. Some people might view this right here as first entry long, and then there's a little tick higher with that wick right there. They'll say first entry long, second entry long, failure. And yes, to the exact tick, that's a failed second entry, but that is way too small picture for the way that I trade. I don't scalp. I go for at least 1-to-1, and so you have to consider the bigger structures that are forming, and you kind of gotta just filter out the little wick stuff that the small technicals, like how there's technically a failed second entry right here, when I just view it as a push down and then it's getting a little bit choppy. You see what I'm saying? So you can go for bigger trades, but you're not going to get as many smaller trades, the way that I do it. So anyway, we have a couple legs down here. No clear entries on the way down. Again, this little downtrend just played out, and then it's just way too choppy to continue entering short right here anyway. So even if it did set up, even if this downtrend didn't play out with a break to new low and it just had a failed second entry, it's way too choppy here anyway, so no shorts. So anyway, we push on down here. We have a perfect measured move down. As soon as this measured move is met, price reverses on higher. I'm going to remove these just to declutter a bit. So now we have uptrend with a two-legged break. Now when an uptrend gets a two-legged break and it has a good reaction right off of it, then you want to make sure that you're looking for a long. Now in this case here, it is still one and still going into this channel right here, and it just barely closed out right there. So I did not want to enter all the way up there with my stop way down here. I just wanted to see price push above and then actually make another hold. A lot of times what can happen is at a big picture failed second entry like this, because this is a failed second entry, first entry short, second entry short, failure. What will happen is price will push up from here and then form a smaller failed second entry, but you're using the momentum of the larger one to get in on that smaller long. And technically it happens right here. When price pushes up, we get two legs back. So first entry short, second entry short, failure, except it's holding on this trend line right here. So obviously you can't just take that, and then it just gets more choppy. So even when it closes out, I don't want to take it. Now we continue on higher here, and now we have these two larger legs up. So even though we have one leg up here and another leg up here, and another leg up here and another leg up here, it's still two legs on a bigger picture. So, if you want to take bigger trades and if scalping's not working for you, then you do have to learn how to combine structures together and be able to see price action on a bigger picture, because it's just each tick that goes by, yeah, you might be able to get a scalp out of it, but if scalping's not your style and it's not going well for you, you want to take larger trades, have more time to analyze each trade, then you have to learn how to combine these structures together. So anyway, at this measured move around the overnight high, this price pushes through the measured move and then reacts to the overnight high and then pushes below. Now, one thing that's common to see in an area like this is for price to push below and make a failed second entry, holding off of that previous level. Now, in this case here, given the amazing context of it, we're at a reversal area, which is the overnight high. We're getting a perfect reaction to it. We're also reversing down right around that measured move level. It didn't push too far below it, or excuse me, push too far above it, and it's already pushing back below. And so we're getting a very bearish push down. Now, notice it says limit order here. I did not enter right after this bar right here because it was kind of holding above the EMA. It did technically close right below, but it was just so borderline, and then it has this trend line in play that I did not want to enter it. There's just a couple things going on there that made me hesitate and not want to enter short right there. But then here, after price really plummets on through, we get this bar right here. This is when I want to enter, but I don't want to enter all the way down here. I don't want to have my stop order all the way down there. That's just way too big of a trade, because I'm not expecting it to go that far down. I want a more reasonable entry to the point, at the point of where it's having a bearish reaction and starting to push down. I don't want to enter too low. And so anyway, we're at this high here. You sell high. I don't want to enter all the way down here. So anyway, this was a limit order trade. I wanted to enter around the area that price, started finding some resistance right here. This seemed like a reasonable, stop and also target based on the size of this trade. And so, based on the size of this big picture context that we have here. And so when we push lower here, I wanted to use a limit order in order to get in around that area, around, as if you were entering right after that bar. And so price pushes back up, comes back well enough to get our limit orders in, and then it starts plummeting on down again. And so target down here, price pushes on through it. Now we're going into this downtrend here. Now it's pretty clear that it's one leg down on a bigger picture, but you can still see we have a leg down, another leg down, another leg down. But again, you have to learn to combine these structures. A channel is a leg. People will have a channel drawn and they'll see all these legs and all this motion inside of it. But what they don't understand sometimes is that it is one leg on a bigger picture. Okay, and so what can happen is we form a big picture failed second entry. Something like this can happen. Okay, let me just get this all drawn out here. Price can form something like this. First entry long, second entry long failure, retesting that high right there. Now, this would be nearly making a double top, basically exactly making a double top, but it would still be valid. You could still look for a short, and even if it doesn't offer a short there, then kind of like what I explained earlier, it could still push into a smaller failed second entry. So, and then you can still find a short based off of the larger context. So, just saying, it's good to learn the bigger picture structures. But, I'm going to hop over to the NQ now. That's really it for this one. So here we are. Here's the NQ. Again, I started trading at 8, right around here. This is our overnight high. This is our overnight low. Now, the ES and the NQ, they kind of follow each other, but I don't like to trade. I don't like to take a trade on the NQ based off the ES analysis. I know that some people do that. That's not for me, because even though they'll follow each other somewhat, they're also going to be, doing the opposite sometimes. And so I just don't like to do that. So anyway, let me just hop back over to the ES real quick because I want to relate the other trade to this one right here. So this is a no-fill trade right here. Uptrend break, 2 attempts at a new high. Good bearish reaction, clearly forming this triple top off of these range highs right here, retesting this measured move level. Now, this happened so fast I could not get filled, and it was at the same time as this trade. This one, I got filled roughly a minute after attempting this one here. And so, I'm just pointing it out because of what I was explaining earlier on the ES, how I was looking at something on the NQ, and how I was kind of distracted. But so yeah, this resulted in a no fill. I mean, it just took off really fast. I mean, as soon as this bar opened, it just shot on down and then never fully came back to fill the limit order. And so anyway, we push on lower here. Now, this is the third bounce off this trend line. So there's all sorts of reasons to go short right here. So again, I started trading at 8 right around here. Price pushes up. We have these 2 legs up. So as price forms that overnight low, we have 2 attempts to reverse, retesting that level right there. But, similarly to on the ES, I didn't like how bullish it was looking coming off of the low. I wanted to see something more bearish before entering short. And so on a bigger picture, let me just back up. So with these 2 legs up here, this little uptrend playing out, that pushes into a reversal. That's very typical. Uptrend, break, new high, price starts reversing on down. Now this reversal stalls right around here and starts pushing up again. And so now this reversal becomes the bigger picture break. And so now you have uptrend, break, and then first attempt at a new high. So it's no longer uptrend, break, new high. Now it's uptrend, break, push to a new high. Then we push on lower here, holds off these lows, very clearly going into a range. EMA is right in the middle of that. It's clearly chopping up and down. And then we get a second attempt at a new high. Now notice what I have here on a smaller picture. There's 2 legs up. So again, you have to learn how to combine these structures together to form larger structures. There is 2 legs there, but on a bigger picture, it's still 1 leg. Uptrend, break, first attempt higher, second attempt higher. Forming a triple top, even though it didn't really make a new high. Technically right there, it barely did, but that could just as easily just count as a double top. You still have 2 attempts, so whether it technically made a new high or not, you can still get a failure entry. And so price has a great bearish reaction. It's off those highs, it's off this channel high, and you're again, great bearish reaction. It just happens too fast to get filled. So anyway, we push on lower here. I checked my Discord. I was not the only one who got left behind on that as well. So anyway, we push on lower here and price breaks out of these lows and then immediately starts fading back in. Now, when we push above here, we need to get above the trend line here, but we can get a failed second entry and get a reversal pattern. And if it sets up big picture enough, then it would include 2 attempts at a new low for this downtrend, because if it pushes up, makes 2 legs back, forming a failed second entry, that would obviously include the 2 attempts at a new low. And so, at first I had the channel like this, and then just slowly started extending it as we got these pierces out until eventually we got, the current channel that you see right here. Now, when price pushes up here, you can see uptrend, break, new high, combined into this 1 leg, and then this. Sorry, let me back up. Sometimes I get ahead of myself and I explain things in a confusing way. So we have this first uptrend here. Uptrend, break, new high. So this uptrend has now played out, okay? It's played out with a break to a new high, and now price is attempting to reverse. Very typical, okay? Now, we got these 2 legs down here, and then it starts finding resistance. We get a good bullish reaction, and so what that really is on a bigger picture is just the 2-legged break from the wider channel. You combine these 2 legs, price didn't full-on reverse here, it just made 2 attempts with a good reaction, and so you have to look at the larger structure that's forming. So this is no longer a reversal, now it's just a 2-legged break for the wider trend that's forming. So I hope that's clear. Anyway, we push up here. I like it after, this bar here that I have circled. I didn't immediately enter. This is a limit order trade, as you can see. And so, price came back, pushes on up here. Now, there wasn't like a perfect range forming, and so as you can see, there is clearly a range here, but at the time, I just viewed it as there was highs forming, and then this low matched with this low over here, and the EMA was getting sideways, so it was starting to get kind of rangy, but I wanted to make sure that it held above the EMA because I wasn't too confident in this level right here. I was really just basing it off of the measured move being met, but price pushed above the EMA, and I was able to get in with a limit order because there was very clear highs forming right there. 1, 2, 3 right there, all turning down at the exact same level. So I wanted to get out right at that level. And so a limit order was needed. Otherwise, you'd be entering all the way up here, and in this case, as you can see, price does not go to stop you out, but you don't know that it's not going to stop you out. All you know is that there's resistance right there and that you want to get out before it. And so anyway, price pushes up here, another test has basically a perfect reversal right off that level again, and we have 2 attempts to reverse. And so considering this uptrend had a 2-legged break, and then this is the real first push to a new high. Technically it made a new high, and then we got a very bearish push lower here. I wanted to see price actually reverse and then hold above the EMA again. So I didn't like going long here. It's just the chances of making a second big picture leg down were too high. So I wanted to see an actual hold above the EMA, because otherwise we could just get something like this and get stopped out. You see what I'm saying? So I didn't take anything there. We continue on higher here, and now we're forming these bigger legs up. So even though, which I probably should have removed that at the moment of explaining that just so it doesn't look confusing, but when price starts pushing up here, it breaks through this structure right here. So this leg is now becoming even bigger picture. Even though we combined all these legs inside of this channel to make this one leg up, it's still becoming bigger picture. Now, it's not that much larger because this high is not much higher than that high, but this is technically how you do it. If price had pushed up way higher, then of course you would continue rising with, rising the arrow line here. But technically, you're supposed to put it to there now. This reversal failed, continuing up, and so now you have a bigger picture set 2-legged move higher here. And so as we push up here, it's very clear that we have this measured move in play. Price is looking very bullish. What I'd like to see is 2 legs back, a second entry long to continue long to reach this measured move. Now, obviously, as you can see, we do not get that. We just get a series of first entries. First entry long, new high, first entry long, new high, first entry long. So nothing to take here. We continue on up. We break out of the overnight high, and then price starts to get a little bit choppy right as it reaches the measured move. And so this is a great reversal area. We're at the overnight high, we're at this measured move. If price fades on down, then we can get a failed second entry, look to reverse. Now, we have to consider we are in an uptrend right here, so that, we have to consider these lows are in play. Price could find resistance at them, and I just wanted to see a clear reversal pattern, a failed second entry. It did have a very bearish reaction here on this lower high, but just given the context, being inside of this uptrend right here, I wanted to see a clear reversal pattern. So I did skip that, but it pushes on lower here. So now we have downtrend, break, push to a new low, and then it's a little choppy, but you can still see we have 2 attempts to reverse before pushing lower. Now it's too choppy and not clear enough to enter on, and it's borderline borderline closing back above the trend line here. It is closing above with these green bars here. It does barely push back out, but not enough to where I'd be confident in taking anything there. It does work out, as you can see, but we don't know it's going to do that. And obviously at the time, the high of this channel was like this, so really no good reason to go short there. So anyway, now this channel has a break. Price is pushing to a new low after just testing the overnight high. We could still push into a failed second entry. If it makes a couple legs back here, then I gotta hate it whenever it doesn't copy over evenly. So now what we could get is something like this. Now it's continuing on down as I'm drawing this out here. So now the downtrend has a break and a new low. It's considered played out, and possibly we could get a reversal higher. Or another thing that could happen is we could still get 2 clear legs up, and if price makes that and has a good bearish reaction, then we can still look to go short. We are pushing off the overnight high right now, but it looks like, I'm not sure exactly what will happen, obviously, but what could happen now that we have this new low and price is starting to push back up is price forms a failed second entry back above the EMA for a long, because this uptrend has a break. It still hasn't made a new high. It has one attempt at a new high, but this attempt at a new high was the break for this channel, which now has a new low. And so now you could view this as a 2-legged break. So 2-legged break, measured move nearly met, push up into a failed second entry short, holding above the EMA for a long. That could offer us a great long to make a new high for this uptrend. And so anyway, that's going to do it for this video. I hope it helped out, and thanks for watching. I'll see y'all next time.